Hey everyone, I know it's a bit late, but here's my video blog on my New South Wales trip with my host parents we did last Christmas and New Year's Eve. So, as you see, this is us heading to Eden, a coastal town in New South Wales, where we stopped by to see the Killer Whale Museum. It was so interesting, not just the museum, but also the numerous number of stories about the history of killer whales and humans. The museum had a lot of information and really cool structures explaining every detail. After that, we headed to the Bega cheese factory for lunch. I've had Bega cheese before here in Australia, so I was really excited to know more about it. And it was very worth it, and I loved their gift shop as well. Upstairs, they had their own way of showcasing the history of the products and the factories, which was really interesting. Our next stop was to watch seals in Narooma, and I absolutely loved it. Look at them, they're so cute, they all just be sitting up there soaking up the sunlight, and it was so nice to watch them. And this is me getting ready for our next day, next adventure, which was interesting because we went to see the Kiama lighthouse and the blowhole. It was very nice. I waited ages to see the blowhole, but it was worth it. And then we drove across the Sea Cliff Bridge, which was mesmerizing. Maybe this video does not give off the same feeling I felt when we were driving across this, but it was an amazing drive. I really enjoyed it. And this is one of the lookouts over it where we stopped to see the scenery. And I have to mention it was very sunny and very hot outside at this moment. And our road trip up the mainland ended when we reached Blue Mountains, where we stayed for 2 to 3 weeks until we headed back down to Melbourne and eventually to Tasmania. One of the best experiences I had on this trip was watching a live BBL cricket match. As a Sri Lankan, almost everyone back at home loved cricket, so this became an unforgettable memory for me. I'm so thankful for my host parents, Elizabeth and Jeff, for taking me to watch the game with them. And these are some of the Christmas decorations we saw around the streets while we were on an evening walk around the houses. And these are some of the pictures taken on Christmas Day and the gifts I received from my host family. We went to a vintage shop in an old theater and I totally loved the aesthetic. There were so many things in there like books, jewelry, clothes, and so many vintage things. But most importantly, what I loved the most from this entire shop was this massive collection of old and new vinyls. And obviously, finding Taylor Swift ones was my favorite part. One of the major and my favorite parts of the trip is visiting Katoomba Scenic Center. My host dad Jeff took me there and I learned and explored a lot of things from that tour. There was so many fun rides, especially this cable ride down an old mine site, and it was really scary when we went through the darkness, but then it was very fun. And there was also a separate section called the Dinosaur Valley, where there were different models of dinosaurs from each continent around the world. And I think a lot of people who are obsessed with dinosaurs, especially children, love this place. And as part of our tour, we took a sky bus, which was both kind of scary but also very impressive. There was a glass beneath our feet so that we could see how far up we were above the ground. And this whole ride was kind of nervous, but then a great experience for me. And then we took a walk around the path that had a few lookouts before ending our tour. The Three Sisters Rock is the most iconic thing around Katoomba, and I took a lot of shots of the scenery. A lot of tourists come to have a look at the Three Sisters, and I also got to know a few stories behind this amazing tourist attraction in Australia. And on one of the sunny days, we went to the Towradgi beach in Wollongong, and though I didn't swim, I enjoyed the waves and the warm weather. And here starts my favorite part of the entire trip to mainland, visiting Sydney. But not just on any day, on January 1st, the very first day of the new year. So obviously, I was so hyped up and excited because one of the many things I wished when coming to Australia to study was to visit Sydney, a city so famous for the Opera House and the Harbour Bridge. And just like that, we passed the city limits and enjoyed every minute. Our first stop in Sydney was at the Art Gallery of New South Wales, which had hundreds of amazing artwork all around it. I enjoyed all the art and the sculptures and the details about all of them, and it was a nice experience. And there was this underground park slash playground created for everyone to relax and enjoy different things. But what I found interesting about this place is its dystopian aesthetic and how good it would look on a dystopian movie. But anyway, yes, it was a nice place. It's so amazing how every lookout was facing a special scenery in this city. I actually loved it. Another thing I enjoyed is walking in the streets, and the city center was massive, but the shops and the places all around it makes it harder to ignore them and just drive off. Just like in Melbourne, Sydney has a vintage shopping mall as well, and it's called the Queen Victoria Building. This mall had so many shops and I loved every place inside. And the whole place was full of Christmas decorations and it was so crowded. And this is us walking to the Harbour Bridge and the Sydney Opera House. Not gonna lie, but my camera roll was completely full from the pictures I took there, but I was so excited all the time. The surroundings were all decorated and it was very crowded from the 31st night celebrations that happens in the Sydney Harbour Bridge each year. So we went inside the Opera House and I bought a little souvenir from the gift shop as well. And while we were roaming through the shopping malls, we stopped at this cool chocolate shop called Cocoa Black, and I got a very chocolatey hot chocolate from there. And I thought of recording how she made the drink, just for fun. And another cool thing was there was a piano at the center of the mall which the public was allowed to play. And this was a girl who was playing impressive tunes while we were out there. inside a cathedral and there was a service going on at the same time, but still we were allowed to walk and look around inside. At the end of the day, my feet were obviously aching, but still, it was the first day of my life I wanted to keep walking around even when I was so tired. So that's how excited I was about all of this. So when we were going back, I told my host dad that it was one of the best January 1st I've ever had. So on our way back to Melbourne, we stopped at the Bradman Museum, which was super interesting. Even though I'm not a die-hard fan of any sport in general, cricket is something that's all over Sri Lanka and something that everyone back at home knew about by default. So I also have a general idea of what it is, and this museum was a great place to learn even more about it. Of course, I got to know about the legacy of Sir Don Bradman and the history of Australian cricket, but not just that, this museum covers the entire past of cricket, its origin, and how it became what it is today, and what special things happened over the years and so. There were so many nice displays and models all throughout the museum, and there was a special Hall of Fame for great cricketers in the world, and I was so proud to see 2 Sri Lankans on that list as well. And then we stopped at the big marino, another one of the many big things in Australia, and this is the view outside through one of his eyes. And also, we stopped by the Dog and the Tucker Box, a place that has an amazing folk story written over it. Then we went to see the big submarine, which is unusual because you don't see submarines so far away from the ocean, right? But here we are, but the place was really interesting. Then we also passed through the bushranger Ned Kelly Museum and finally drove past New South Wales back to Victoria. And these are some of the pictures of me and my host family from the trip. And I really need to thank my host mom and dad for taking me on this wonderful trip up the mainland and making my stay in Australia absolutely wonderful. Hope everyone enjoyed. See you soon with many more adventures.